Good evening and welcome to the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County's presentation on the National Popular Vote. I'm Carrie Moon Dupree, President of the Northwest Wayne County League, and co-presenting tonight is Donna Glecki-Levin, board member. The League of Women Voters of Michigan is a nonpartisan organization. We do not support any particular candidates, but we do take positions on issues. We encourage people to check their trusted sources, including the League of Women Voters Michigan website and other resources mentioned in the presentation. Frequently asked question handout is in the chat box, or you can leave me your email in the chat and I will send it to you. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our website and our YouTube channel. Our website is my.lwv.org/Michigan/Northwestern Wayne County. Thank you for attending. Let me share the screen and Donna will lead us off.
Thank you, Carrie.
Okay, Donna, you are all set.
Thank you. The purpose of this presentation is to educate the public about the national popular vote and actions people can take to help pass this necessary legislation in Michigan. The League of Women Voters in Michigan has joined the Michigan National Popular Vote Coalition. Other members include the ACLU, Common Cause, Mothering Justice, and Voters Not Politicians. As part of the coalition, the League is engaged in a legislative campaign to pass the National Popular Vote Compact. The bill has been introduced in the Michigan legislature, and we plan to get it passed before the legislature's summer recess. Educational presentations at town halls and webinars across the state play an important role in educating the public about the national popular vote and what we can do to help get the bill passed in the legislature. How does America elect our president? The Electoral College. You can see the map and the Electoral College votes for each state. Michigan has 15, 2 senators and 13 congressional districts. On election day, you and I cast our ballots for the candidates of our choice. But the real vote is when the electors meet in December and cast their ballots. States are allocated 1 electoral vote for every representative in Congress. Each state starts with 2 and has 1 for every House member. 270 electoral votes are needed to become the president. Remember this number, 270. 270 is the majority of the total number of the Electoral College votes, which is 538. So who are these electors who are deciding who the president is? The U.S. Constitution gives explicit power to the states to decide how their electors are chosen. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors. State legislatures decide how to award their state's electoral votes, a power that the Supreme Court has termed plenary and absolute power of the states. 48 states choose electors based on whoever received the most votes within their state on election day. These are winner-take-all laws. A winner-take-all method means the candidate who receives the majority of votes in the state's popular vote takes all of that state's electoral votes. So in 2020, in California, Democratic candidate Joe Biden received the most votes. He won all of California's electoral votes. In Texas, Republican candidate Donald Trump received the most votes. He won all of Texas's electoral votes. So in 2020, if you were one of the 6 million Californians who cast a ballot for Donald Trump, or one of the 5.2 million Texans who cast a ballot for Joe Biden, your vote was effectively thrown out at the state line. So state law is the reason we end up with divergent elections. When the popular vote winner is the electoral college loser, which leads us to discussing the problems of the current system. Carrie?
The problem we are most familiar with, the person with less votes can and frequently does end up in the White House. 5 times in our nation's history, the candidate who received fewer votes nationwide became the president. That means more than 10% of our presidents have been elected without even a plurality of voters supporting them. Currently, we are in an era of close elections. Just in the last 20 years, we've had 2 wrong winner elections, 2000 and 2016, and 2 near misses. You might be surprised to hear that one of the near misses almost put a Democrat in office over a Republican. In 2004, if 60,000 more voters in Ohio had cast their ballots for John Kerry instead of George Bush, Kerry would have won Ohio, won the Electoral College, and become president despite losing the popular vote by a larger margin than Donald Trump did in 2016. The 2020 election was our second near-miss election in the past 2 decades. If 21,460 voters had changed their minds and not voted for Biden, that would be 5,229 in Arizona, 5,890 in Georgia, and 10,342 in Wisconsin. Trump would have gone on to win a second term, despite losing the popular vote by over 7 million. Another huge problem with the way we elect the president is that every vote is not equal. Most voters are totally ignored in the general election and have their vote taken for granted. As a result of winner-take-all laws, states are decidedly red or Republican, or decidedly blue or Democrat. Candidates for the general election only campaign for a small number of undecided voters who live in the closely divided states. For example, swing states or the battleground states. The entire general election happens in 12 states or less, and those are the states that truly get to decide who is the next president. This has implications at the federal level as well as between the states. 5 of our 9 Supreme Court justices were appointed by popular vote loser presidents. Remember, a winner-take-all method, meaning the candidate who receives the majority of votes in the state's popular vote takes all of that state's electoral votes. Donna?
How should we elect the president? Or how we should elect the president? Whoever gets the most votes should become the president. This is how we elect almost every other office in the country. And it is time we modernize our presidential elections and make every vote equal. Every vote being equal would mean candidates would have to care about the entire population's interests, not just those in swing states. We would break the system where candidates advocate for positions that poll well with the swing voters and only listen to the concerns of voters in a small number of states. We can do this through the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. The National Popular Vote Bill guarantees the presidency to the candidate who receives the most popular vote in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. If you win the popular vote, you win the Electoral College. This is a bill passed by states to change how they vote in the Electoral College. States replace their current law with a new state law that awards their electors to the candidate who wins the popular vote in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. However, the bill is in effect when states with 270 electoral votes have been committed to the compact, thus guaranteeing the Electoral College to the winner of the national popular vote. That's right. We can have a national popular vote for president without a U.S. constitutional amendment. And it is because of these 17 words. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors. Sound far-fetched? It isn't. This bill has been passed in 16 states with 195 electoral votes. In previous years, it has passed in at least one chamber in 9 additional states with 88 electoral votes. National popular vote bills are currently pending in a dozen state legislatures. Carrie?
Debunking common misconceptions. A myth that this is a partisan effort. In 2018, 15 Republican senators in Michigan joined with the Democrats to sponsor the National Popular Vote bill. The smallest states, the 13 states with only 3 or 4 electoral votes, are the most disadvantaged and ignored group of states under the current state-by-state winner-take-all method of awarding electoral votes. The reason is that political power in presidential elections comes from being a closely divided battleground state, and almost all of the small states are non-competitive states in presidential elections. As this graphic shows, of the states with 3 or 4 electoral votes, 7 are decidedly Republican and 7 are decidedly Democratic. The small states are not ignored because of their low population, but because they are not closely divided battleground states. The small states of Hawaii, Delaware, Rhode Island, Vermont, and DC have already signed on to the national popular vote because they know it makes their votes more relevant. People sometimes fear that the candidates will just visit the highest population states. Every vote in every state would matter in every presidential election under national popular vote. Under a national popular vote, a voter in a small state would become as important as any other voter in the United States. Will New York City and LA decide who is president? No. It is a common misconception that people fear that the big cities will decide an election under a national popular vote. This stems from people thinking cities are bigger than they actually are. In fact, 19.6% of the US lives in the largest cities, while 20% of the country lives in rural America. To win a national popular vote, you just can't campaign to the 20% of the people in rural America anymore than you can just talk to people in big cities. You have to speak to both groups, as well as the 60% of Americans who live in the suburbs and are evenly divided between Democrats and Republicans. Currently, we have two kinds of voters in the presidential elections: those in flyover states and are irrelevant, and those in battleground states who are hyper-relevant. National popular vote corrects this. We don't have to guess about this because we know when every vote matters. For example, within battleground states, candidates go all over the state because every vote matters and has the chance to clinch the state's electoral votes. After coming up with the concept of electors choosing the president, the founders debated how those electors should be chosen. Our current system is nothing like it was at the founding of our country. In the first presidential election, only 5 states allowed citizens to vote for the president in any form. In 1787, Electoral College was written into the Constitution. Founders ultimately decided to leave it up to the states to decide. The state legislature was the closest body to the people. They could decide what was best for the voters of their state. We are looking to state legislators to change their state laws exactly as the framers intended. It is, in fact, state legislators' constitutional duty to consider the matter. Donna?
The National Popular Vote Bill would guarantee the presidency to the candidate with the most votes. Every voter in every state would be politically relevant in the presidential election for the very first time. The League of Women Voters in the US promote the election of the, promote the election of the president and vice president by direct popular vote. We support uniform national qualifications and procedures. So we support efforts to provide voters with sufficient information about candidates. The League of Women Voters in Michigan voted to support this legislation using the national position. The League of Women Voters in Michigan also joined the Michigan National Popular Vote Coalition. As part of the coalition, the League is engaged in a legislative campaign to pass the National Popular Vote Compact. The League of Women Voters in Michigan is providing educational presentations at town halls and webinars across the state. These presentations play an important role in educating the public about the national popular vote and what we can do to help get the bill passed in the legislature. The bill has been introduced. It has to go through the committee process and pass the Michigan House of Representatives, the Michigan Senate, and be signed by the governor. In 2008, the Michigan House of Representatives voted to pass HB 6610. The vote was bipartisan, 65 to 36 in the Michigan Senate. In 2018, the Michigan Senate's Election and Government Affairs Committee had a hearing on Senate Bill 1117. And we are actually, the pictures are right in front of the slide, so I can't read, except that it was voted by the 15 senators and whatever. Can you go back to slide 26, please? Or I guess it is 27, sorry. So no bill was introduced in the 2019-2020 session. In the 2021-22 session, House Bill 5343, September 28, 2021, was introduced by Representative Kolazar, a Democrat, and it was referred to the Committee on Government Operations, where it died. Currently, we have House Bill 4156 in the House Election Committee. We have Senate Bill 126 in the Senate Elections and Ethics Committee. We plan to get it passed by June 30th, 2023, and once it is introduced, we will let you know and keep you updated on its progress. These are the national organizations that are supporting the campaign. The League of Women Voters of the U.S. supports the National Popular Vote Bill, and leagues, including the League of Women Voters in Michigan, are engaged in this campaign all around the country. Here in Michigan, we are part of the Michigan National Popular Vote Coalition, and the League is working with the ACLU of Michigan, Common Cause, Mother Justice, Voters Not Politicians, and other entities. Here are additional resources for you to get more information. You can go to the League of Women Voters. We have under the National Popular Vote Task Force a tab, so you would go to that site, and you can also go to the National Popular Vote website, and we have that address there, www.nationalpopularvote.com, because I'm assuming you all know the League of Women Voters address by heart. Carrie?
Thank you for watching this presentation. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and I will attempt to answer them. Meanwhile, I'm going to get out of the screen and stop sharing.